Hello, and welcome to School Health Presents, working with our exceptional individuals during the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Dr. Ray Height. 1 month ago, we began a journey through videos about how we could be working with our exceptional individuals while they were experiencing learning at home rather than in a face-to-face manner in schools. First, a lot of thanks need to go out to a lot of different groups of people. Two, our teachers, our therapists, our administrators, our members of the Department of Education, and others involved in the education process itself. Thank you. Thank you for your tireless work in trying to figure out how we could still support our exceptional individuals while we were in this unique educational environment. Secondly, thank you to the parents. You have really taken on yeoman's work here, trying to not just do the things that you would normally do as a parent or a guardian, but now taking it to the next level, taking that advice of those teachers, those therapists, and actually incorporating new routines, which is not something easy to do. You were also there to allay so many of the fears of our individuals, and yet some of those fears still continue. And they will continue as we move on to this post-COVID-19 type of world. Why I am bringing this up is this will be the final video in the series, and I'm going to talk about what we'll be transitioning into next. I thank you for all of you who have watched these videos. Right now, we are close to 13,000 views in just this past month. What we will be doing now is keeping this video playlist up so you have easy access to it along the way. But we will be creating a new series of videos for you to be working together with us on as we move forward. The new video series is going to be focused on something just a little bit different, and that focus will be on the idea of holistic transitional planning in education. What does that mean? It sounds like a whole lot of words. It sounds like every big word that's ever come out of education in a long period of time. We know that transition plans usually take place when an individual moves from an elementary or middle school up to a secondary school, and then from a secondary school either into the workplace or into a university setting. But what are we talking about here? Well, what we're talking about is still the same idea of transitioning from environment to environment. But what we want to do is work together with you, with our schools, with our parents, and talk about those transitions between school and home and back again. What are the things that we can be doing to protect ourselves in case any type of a pandemic or other issue might come into play? What happens when some of our individuals can't come into school due to surgeries or illnesses for a longer period of time? How can we still keep them within a routine first and foremost, but also within the whole construct of learning and make it applicable to where they're at? The other thing we want to take a look at in these types of transitional planning is what goes on as they move in between those environments too. So what happens on the bus? What can we be doing on the bus to, again, make sure that those transitions are smooth and at the same time they are continuous? Life is something that continually changes for us, as we've basically come to learn over the last couple of months. But for many of our students, that can really create a lot of stress and a lot of anxiety along the way. Also, taking them out of those routines creates high levels of stress and anxiety too. So the idea behind our next video series will be, what are those techniques, what are thoughts, what are ideas that allow for that, instead of being peaks and valleys in between those transitions, to be more like rolling hills as we go through, so that our students feel more comfortable with what's going on, have less of an anxiety level as this goes on with any types of transition, but most importantly, begin to become used to the fact that life can also be filled with some of these ups and downs as we travel. But by keeping focus and by keeping the idea that we do have certain routines together, we can move forward, and this is something then that can be translated into their own growth and development along the way. What will we be looking at in the new video series as we come in? Well, we'll be talking about what are ways that we can put together plans just in case we do end up having to go back to working out of our homes for the time being. What does that mean? What does that look like? You've already had some ideas in this video series about creating video modeling videos for our students. Well, how do we make that a reality? How do we build that into the actual technology they're taking from school to home? And how do we make sure that that can transition easily back and forth? Making it pragmatic, making it something that we no longer begin to see school here, home here, and then this thing called workplace somewhere down the road. That instead we see it as just part of a wider scope of our environment as opposed to different environments. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. We'll talk too about techniques when it comes to therapies. I have talked to so many SLPs, OTs, PTs, and they have been frustrated trying to make sure that they're able to get that contact with individuals. But what it's done is it's allowed the therapist to come back and say, what are some subtle changes that I can make? Where that therapy now becomes more ingrained in daily routines. That therapy now becomes something that can be shared with teachers, with other therapists, but with parents too, where now we've got a consistency of saying, this is what we're doing, these are the times in the day that we're doing it, so that, again, a routine can be established that's healthy and holistic for our exceptional individuals, and healthy and holistic for any individuals too. For some of you teachers who are out there in inclusive classrooms, guess what? OTs and PTs can be working with you to provide ideas for sensory breaks that are good for every single student. SLPs can provide ideas for working with some of our students who may be struggling with language that will be good for every level of student as we go on. So that's what we'll be looking at in this upcoming video series. Early on, we will take a look at some simple transitional planning strategies along the way. As that particular series goes on, we will be having some guest speakers come in and do some presentations too. So you won't always see me here in my office / living room making these videos for you. We will have some other guests come in. We also have some webinars that will be planned for you as time is going on. So the idea here is to keep a discussion going as to how we can continue to adapt what we're doing for our exceptional individuals, build that into a holistic framework where now the individuals can maintain a sense of routine, maintain a sense of self, and begin to expand their idea of what self actually is, what learning is, and how we can take different ideas and move them from one location to another. So again, I thank you for all that you're doing right now. I thank you too for maintaining those healthy habits as we go through. I encourage you to maintain those healthy habits as we move on. But know that we here at School Health are thinking about you and are here to support you in any way that we can. And I personally am here to support you too. I wish you well and look forward to seeing you in our next video series.